Hello BookTube, I'm Shawn the Book Maniac. Welcome back to my channel. Here I am to kick off a discussion video between Doris of All the Books and myself about this short story, Kazuo Ishiguro's Come Rain or Come Shine. This is published as part of the Faber Stories series, brand new in 2019, in commemoration of their 90th anniversary. They're issuing a couple dozen, I'm not sure how many, individually bound short stories. And this is the first one that Doris and I are going to be talking about. I don't know if we're going to be talking about all of them, but a few of them anyway. We're going to be doing this discussion video back and forth between us. And I am kicking this one off with a little bit of an introduction to Kazuo Ishiguro. He was born in Nagasaki, Japan. He's about 64 years old now, but he has lived in the UK since he was about, I'm not sure, 2 or 3 years old. And he has written several highly regarded novels. Perhaps his most famous one is The Remains of the Day, which I have not read. I found out a fun fact about him now. He worked for the Queen Mom, Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother. You know, Queen Elizabeth's mother, the Queen Mother. He worked for her as a grouse beater before he went to university. I had to, of course, Google the shit out of that. A grouse beater is somebody who assists with a grouse hunt by using sticks and whatnot to propel the grouses towards the hunters. It sounds pretty awful, but that's what he did. I hope he writes a book about that. Anyway, I have to fess up here and say I'm not a fan of Kazuo Ishiguro's, other than that the only thing of his that I've read and unreservedly loved was one of his short stories, and it was featured on a podcast from the UK. I believe it was the Guardian podcast 3 years ago. I'm not sure, and I can't find it. Well, I've tried to Google it, but it was quite dark and woozy the way his fiction gets, kind of woozy about you're not sure if this is reality or dystopia or just what the heck, and it's very sad and very disturbing, eerie. And I love that short story. So I wonder if I might love this, because I have a running theory that writers either excel at the short story or the novel, not both. So maybe I will love his short story. Enough of an introduction. The other one that lots of people talk about with him is Never Let You Go. And I didn't like that either. Also The Buried Giant, which I found mind-numbingly boring and bailed halfway through. But I am going to start off the discussion, Doris. Hello, Doris. Just with some brief reactions to the first 20 pages. I was surprised at how conventional a story it is starting out to be, in that there's no kind of otherworldly, eerie, dystopian elements. It's a very straightforward story about a man and his university friends who are a married couple. He seemed to have been in love with the woman before she got really serious with the man, and now he's coming back to visit them in London. I think it's London, in the UK. He regularly visits them, but he's an ESL teacher in Spain. And I think the dynamic, as conventional of a story as it is starting out to be, it's fascinating. I'm totally gripped by it and dying to turn the page, but we agreed only to talk about the first 20 pages first. So what's going to happen? The husband's left him alone with his wife for a few days, and their marriage is on the rocks. And what did you think about how they're both really criticizing the protagonist, Doris? It's really intense and making me hate them. It's obviously has some powerful function in their relationship, so I'm eager to watch that, and also to see if it's going to go dark or kind of slipstreamy, dystopic in the rest of the story. That's all for now. Doris, give me your thoughts.
Hey, I know Shawn told you all about the Faber stories, but I wanted to show you how cute they are all together. I have 5 thus far. There are 10 out, and I checked on the back flap here. There are 10 out and 10 more coming, I believe, in March. But the one we're focusing on today is the Kazuo Ishiguro. And I have to tell you, I had a little trepidation going in, because I just last month read When We Were Orphans and was somewhat bored by it. Yeah. So it wasn't one of those authors where I really just hated it and never want to read him again. but I was wondering how I would fare with my next Ishiguro because I do want to read more of him. So this is perfect to get another taste. And I was talking to Robert from Barter Hordes, and he mentioned that Ishiguro's works, he's an author that they're all extremely different. So that is promising. So jumping right in with the first 20 pages here, I was hooked like immediately. He starts out focusing on music as personality, and they have discussions over 3 or 4 or 5 pages about music, all types and genres, and how you judge people based on their musical tastes. I mean, I think we do the same thing with books at times. So I was just pulled into these characters and their personalities through that, and pleasantly surprised. I think Shawn's told you all about the premise thus far, but I'm just surprised because this one, I realized one of the things that put me off is that I didn't feel connected from the characters. I felt very distanced from them. And this one, I immediately was like immersed in the characters. So yeah, he is a different writer in all his work. So now I'm more excited to pick up more and obviously to finish this one first. But the other thing I wanted to mention is I loved the guy aspect in this. And I don't want to stereotype, but there's a scene at the table and the guys, you know, they're not really talking about his problems with his wife, which is, you know, one stereotype there. But he did allude to the fact that there are problems. And then he starts crying over his pasta. And if I was sitting at the table with a lifelong best friend, girlfriend, you know, I would be over there giving her a big hug, you know, as she's crying at her pasta. But the guy just reaches over and punches him on the shoulder. I'm sorry, it was cute. It was so cute. I'm curious to hear what Shawn thought of that. But yeah, and then he keeps crying and the guy's uncomfortable and hoping it'll stop. And then, you know, a couple minutes later, he reaches over and punches him one more time on the shoulder. Oh no. So anyway, I'm very delighted with this so far. I hope to give you a thumbs up at the end. They're really short. This one's a 76 pager, so actually a little longer than some of the others. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to pass this back to Shawn now and see what we think of the rest.
So, Doris, I finished the story. Have you tried the dog smell recipe yet? Jesus. I got to the bottom of page 61, and I got the biggest shock, the biggest twist. I mean, it was kind of, I suppose, predictable, but it just, the most exciting thing that's ever happened in a short story that I've read in years. This is the best thing I've ever read by Kazuo Ishiguro. 5-star read. Now, it's not new. It was in his earlier collection, Nocturnes. A few people on Goodreads complained about that, but I hadn't read it. I just thought it was a wonderful story. Funny. Crazy. All about projection and jazz music and friendship and memory. And wow, I don't know what else to say about it. I loved it. His novels are so freaking boring, and this was a real page turner. So I need to try more Kazuo Ishiguro stories. Doris? Over to you. My dog smell soup is on the stove. I have to run.
Shawn, I can smell that foul brew from here. Whew! No, yeah, page 61, that was something else entirely. So cringeworthy. And I don't mean the writing. The writing was great. I mean, like, the secondhand embarrassment. Oh my goodness, I can't handle it. Wow. So yeah, this was a great little read. I have to admit, as I was reading through it, I kept expecting something profound with this situation. And I got to the end and I was like, huh, okay. And then I came back to it a few days later and I was like, yeah. Reading it, it's short. I didn't read the whole thing, but those last few pages, reading over those last few pages again, it really settled on me, and that cozy feeling of this lifelong friendships and these shenanigans and just how you would relate to each other after all that time and all that friendship. Yeah, just what you would do for each other and that connection, that emotional connection when you needed it. And yeah, I really liked it. So thanks for reading it with me. I look forward to the next one, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.